Hey everybody, welcome back to Tim Travels. It's Terry, your host, coming to you from Ottawa, not Illinois, not Canada, which is the capital, but Ottawa, Kansas. So I picked up my trainee on Tuesday. We're at the Loves here. He's in getting a shower. He brought a load out here. I'm actually going to probably throw up a couple of videos today because I got some stuff to talk about. But man, there's something that's been on my mind and this is a tutorial, okay? So, and this is going to be a tutorial on two things, okay? The first thing, and anybody that's been on my truck as a trainee knows that I teach this. When people are going through PSD, and by the way, I have been a PSD instructor, although never successfully. Situations have happened, but it's not like I refuse to do it. But one of the things that I mentioned the other day about getting a new trainee is that, they just memorized a lot of stuff and just regurgitated it to the CDL examiner. Now, I get why that happens, right? Like, I used to train recruits, plebes and, at the Naval Academy. I get what happens, right? People regurgitate stuff. But here's the thing, right? It's not just, the stuff they're regurgitating is not just trivia, right? It's not just like, oh, I know the capital of Canada is Ottawa, right? It's actually information. It's, this equipment that we use, right? It's our lifeblood. It's also what protects us, protects the motoring public. So we have to understand the systems on these trucks and how they work, how they interact and stuff. And on more than one occasion, I've gotten a trainee from PSD, and look, I don't complain about how somebody backs, and say, oh, PSD should have done a better job training them. I don't complain about somebody, how they drive, oh, PSD should have trained them better. I don't do that. But there are a few things that I really think people ought to be able to clearly understand to get a CDL. And I think this is a training, part of it is a training issue. What I'm talking about in particular on this one is the air valves in the tractor. So we all know we have two air valves. We have a yellow one and a red one. But that's really oversimplifying it, right? So the tractor, and I'm kind of looking at these as I'm talking. So the tractor parking brake is the yellow one. Now, I train, and we all know that if we pull the yellow one out by itself and we have a trailer attached, it is going to automatically pop the red one out, okay? Which is and the valve is actually entitled trailer air supply. So it's parking brake, trailer air supply. Those are the names of these, and I'm reading it right off what Bendix puts on there. Now, the reason when you pull the yellow one that the red one pops out, the reason that when you pull the parking brake that the trailer air supply comes out and shuts off air to the trailer is because of the tractor protection valve, okay? And what that means is that the system is designed to fail in such a way that if you lose air pressure to the system as a whole, the tractor protection valve is designed to give you braking power at the tractor versus braking power to the trailer. Now, the air system on these trucks runs a whole bunch of different things, right? The air compressor is not just providing air to the air brakes. It's providing air to the transmission. And by the way, this might not be an exhaustive list, but just some of the stuff. It's providing air to the transmission. It's providing air to the tractor airbags. It's providing air to the slide on the skid plate. That's air actuated. It's providing air to the airbags that release to let the tandem pins on the trailer in and out. Okay, they're airbags for that. Okay, and what happens is they fail in the out position. Okay, it's providing, of course, trailer brake air pressure, and it's providing air to the right way valve or the right way system. It's providing air to the airbags for the trailer suspension. Okay, and that might be an exhaustive list, but there might be a couple other control systems that get some air pressure. Oh yeah, tire inflation for the trailer is also on the air. And I don't know if there's any air pressure being put to the TPMS, the tire pressure monitoring system for the tractor. Might be. It might be like a control, what would be the right term? Like a pressure line so that the system will sense a differential pressure. But I don't think that's the case, but it could be. So anyway, that's all the things, that's many of the things that the air is used for. But here's the thing. How many times have you seen people pull up and they want to park their truck, and what do? They pull the parking brake out, but then they automatically pop out the trailer air supply. So here's a picture of the parking brake. And you can see it just says it's the parking brake. But I want you to take a careful look at this picture of the trailer air supply. What you're going to notice is it specifically says not for parking. Not for parking. When you park the truck, even if it's got a trailer attached, you are not supposed to release the air to the trailer. You're not supposed to cut off the air to the trailer. Okay? Why? Because it's not for parking. Anybody that's ridden with me knows the only time that I release the air to the trailer, I cut off the air to the trailer, is when I'm dropping it or I'm sliding my tandems. That's the only reason to have that valve out. Now, if you're lazy and you just pull the yellow one, the red one's always going to come out, right? Because of the tractor protection valve. But I put my thumb on it and hold it in when I pull out the parking brake. Now, here's why this is important. There are too many people that are coming out here on PSD who do not understand all that stuff that I just explained. Oh, they know how to do that in-cab air brake check, but they don't really know what that air system does, okay? And here's how it came into play the other day. I had to basically repower a load, and I'm going to talk about that in a separate video about what I did to basically save Prime from bankruptcy this week. But the point about in this tutorial is that the driver was inexperienced. He was leasing a truck, but his fleet manager told me he was very inexperienced. So when I get there, I actually repowered from the 01 because I'll get into that in another video. But one of the first things he said is, hey, you know, the trailer airlines are dragging, and some guys fixed that, you know, here at the 01. The jockey helped him, but, you know, there's an airbag that's blown. And I'm like, oh, well, you can't take that trailer down the road. But they wanted me, because I already had a load that wasn't their product, they wanted me to leave their facility and go around the corner to a vacant lot and park in there and swap trailers. So I said, cool. So I told the guy, I said, look, I understand what you're saying about the trailer, but you can drive around this corner. It's in Selinsgrove, PA. It's not like it's a super busy area. I said, you can just drive around there, meet me out there. So he's like, oh, this, you know, I said, I'll look at the trailer, because I said, did you contact RA? You know, he didn't seem to get how that whole process worked. But anyway, I said, okay, man, let's, you know, so he pulls up next to me. I said, let's look at this trailer. So I get out the driver's side of my truck and I go to the passenger side, the right side of his trailer, even before I meet up with him. and I get under the trailer. I don't hear any air leaks or anything, and I'm like, then I push on the airbags and I realize there's no air in the airbags. So then I go around to the left side, he's there. I'm like, what airbag do you think? I said, well, no, first I said, do you have air going to the trailer? And he really didn't even kind of know what I meant by that. And I said, look, is the red valve pushed in? He's like, no, I don't know. Yeah, but he really didn't know, right? So I walk up to the cab with him. I'm like, the red valve, push it in. Put air to the trailer, right? So he puts air to the trailer. I said, which airbag is the one that's the problem? He tells me the left front one. But I stick my hand under there. I'm like, dude, there's nothing wrong with this airbag. It's rock hard. And he was like, oh, well, it was soft before. I'm like, yeah, dude, that's because you cut the air to the trailer so it releases the air from the airbags. If you've ever been at the back of a trailer when the air is cut and the trailer's loaded, by the way, this trailer only had like 10, 14 pallets. But if you look at that, if you watch a trailer, it sinks, okay? And the reason I know that because one time I had a trailer that I couldn't get the tandems to slide at GP Transco, and the guy said, well, you need, I said, if you let me keep air in here and let me periodically start my engine, I can keep this trailer lifted up to the deck plate, the loading dock plate. And that's what we did because I couldn't get the tandems to slide. Okay, but anyway, this young man did not understand how the airbags work on the trailer. He didn't know that by evacuating air from the system, right, and setting the trailer, air supply, like cutting it off, that he wouldn't know if an airbag was blown. He also couldn't check for air leaks, right? You can't, when you pull into a set of pumps, I always teach my trainees, do a walk around, right? There's a couple things you're looking for. Make sure that all the lights work, right? And check for air leaks. And, make sure the trailer's still got a seal on it, it's still locked, etc., right? Just a quick visual and audible, test. But if you cut out the air, and you'll see, I bet if I went over to that fuel island and waited an hour, there would be like 100 drivers, or whatever, 50 drivers that would release the air to their trailer when they pulled in, right? How are you going to check for leaks when there's no air in the system? Because I guarantee a DOT officer is going to know that you're supposed to keep air in the system if you want to check for stuff, okay? So it's important to understand that. But look at this trailer supply valve, right? And I need to pause here, and I want you to look at it carefully. It does not. It says not for parking. If you set that valve when you park, and you're not dropping that trailer or sliding those tandems, then I don't know what to say. You reading comprehension is a problem, right? You're not using the system as intended. So take a look at that valve picture. Hear me now and believe me later. Keeping the air to the trailer is the way to go. It prevents stupid mistakes. It prevents you from missing something that will put you out of service on the side of the highway. It's just a better way to go, and it's the proper way to go. Bendix, who makes these valves, I'm sure somebody that's pretty smart thought about what to write on those valves. They didn't just leave it up to the lowest man on the totem pole. They figured out what they wanted to do. Okay? Hear me now, believe me later. Be a pro. Know how your airbags get air. Know what happens when you evacuate the trailer of air. Okay. Oh, and I think one thing I forgot to add is like the air also controls the airbags, of course, on the truck. Keeps them pressurized, but you can drop your airbags, as they say. So the second thing I want to talk about is I teach my trainees to be like have a procedure for hooking up trailers, for for dropping trailers, right? The first thing you do when you drop a trailer, get the landing gear completely down. That way you don't make a mistake and forget it, and then like pull the pin, secure, you know, take the air lines off, take the 7-pin off, and then just drop the trailer on the ground. Conversely, when you're hooking up to a trailer, right, reverse order, right? You go under it, you make sure that, you know, it's striking the skid, the front of the trailer, the front edge of the trailer, striking the skid plate at the right place, about halfway up. And then I have them hook up airline 7-pin. Then they check the skid plate, right? Because I want to make sure I'm latched before I crank up the landing gear, right? So something doesn't happen where it shifts and maybe isn't completely latched, right? So you check that the release handle is in, but then you get underneath and you look up the skirt, right? I mean, I don't know how else to describe it. You look up in the slot, right? And you see that the latch is across the kingpin properly, you know, because the kingpin has a wider bottom than it does a shaft. Okay, so then the last thing you do is crank it up. But also when you pick up this trailer, right, you do a tug test on it. That's one time, by the way, that you release the air to the trailer so the trailer brakes are set. Okay, you do a tug test before you pull away. But here's what happens when you don't follow procedures, when you don't do things according to a set procedure, right? We used to have this thing in the Navy and in the engineering departments called EOS, Engineering Operating Sequencing System. You have to have a sequence and to do things right, and it keeps you from making mental errors and missing stuff that's super important. Here's a couple of chuckleheads that don't have my system in place. Kids, don't try this at home. This is why you check everything before you move a trailer. I want to go past that and drop my trailer, but these chuckleheads are out here with a trailer dropped on the yard. They're lucky that that's all they did and they didn't do it out on the road. Here's a picture of the cab of their truck, okay? I'm calling them out because they're morons. I don't know how long they've had CDLs, but it really doesn't matter, okay? They were lucky that they dropped that trailer about 20 feet from where they pulled out from the spot it was parked at the 90 that we just dropped at. They were lucky that they didn't get all the way out to a regular road or out to I-35, which isn't very far away. They are very lucky, okay? They are also very lucky that they were in a place that was paved, and that in a place that had jockey wagons. Because as I was explaining to my trainee, jockey wagons can get under trailers that are lower than a regular tractor can, even when its airbags are deflated, right? Like, because the frame, if you've never looked carefully at a jockey wagon, the frame on a jockey wagon is actually angled down in the back. So this is the frame, and then it angles down. So it's got like a ramp, and then that ramp leads right up to the skid plate. So you can get under, because I've done this when I jockeyed. I've gotten under trailers that were really low and ramped them up. So that's a huge lesson. It's just their lucky day. I don't know what God they pray to, but they better be thanking that God that they didn't get out of that place and then drop that trailer for a myriad reasons. You could kill somebody. I mean, Lyle talked about a person getting killed when somebody dropped a trailer in Indiana. I think 2 people actually got killed because they hit a trailer that all of a sudden came to a complete stop in front of them on a highway. You know, so you can kill somebody, get tickets, you know, ruin the trailer, ruin your load, whatever. Nothing good comes from not following the proper procedures and sequence. So, thanks for watching my TED Talk. This is not information just for new people. because I'm guessing these guys, their trucks from California, so they at least drove this far to Kansas, right? And it's kind of scary that the two of them, right? The two of them, between the two of them, couldn't manage to properly hook up a trailer at a place in Kansas. So anyway, talk to you soon. Stay tuned for my next video. By the way, and I'm going to talk about this, but if you see me anywhere and you want to get a t-shirt, a Tim Travels t-shirt, I have some with me. Just let me know. I'd like to get a little money for them just to kind of cover my costs. I'm not looking to make a lot of money. And like I said, I'm doing the 5 for $99 discount. So if you want to do that, more power to you. But yeah, if you see me, say something. I have navy blue, black. I have extra large, 2X, and 3X with me. But anyway, I will talk to you soon. Bye.